Welcome to the No Guilt Fangirls podcast, where liking what you like is never a bad thing. Here's your host and head fangirl in charge, Patty Holiday.
Hey y'all, welcome to the No Guilt Fangirls podcast. I'm your host and head fangirl in charge, Patty Holiday. Now, this week we are going to talk about one of my favorite fandoms, and we haven't visited this for a while. We talked about it early on in season 1, but we haven't circled back. And today we're circling back to some Marvel because I've got a really fun guest on with me. Everyone, meet fanboy David Dollar. Hey, David.
It's the Jolly Holiday with Patty. You've never heard that, I'm sure. I'm sure you've never had that. Yeah, ever.
That is the first time. Absolutely. Yeah. So, all right. So, as you can guess, David is a Disney fan,
of course.
as well as other things. And I've known David for a couple years now, and we were talking online. He also has some podcasts, and I'll let him tell you about those in just a minute here. But we were talking online, and I was like, David, we need to talk, man. We need to talk together. We have podcasts. Like, why aren't we doing this? And here we are. We finally made it happen.
Yeah, it's weird that we had never kind of put our stuff together. And so suddenly here we are. It's like, why have we not connected before now? We should have connected a long time ago. And then it's just like, okay, let's do it. All right, good, let's do it. And here we are.
And here we are. Better late than never, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, David, tell us a little bit about yourself, where people can find you on your podcast, where people can find you online, and let's do this.
Well, I am a Disney file. I am also a Gryffindor. I know that you're a Hufflepuff, so we get along just swimmingly. And I love all things Disney. I'm an amateur Disney historian, so I love learning about Disney, reading about Disney. I know that you've taken the Keys to the Kingdom tour at least once, if not more. I've taken it twice. I love everything about it. I'm a Muppet fan. I'm a Peanuts fan. And so those are kind of my fandoms. And, of course, I'm a Marvel fan. I love Marvel. I love the movies. I have a huge comic book collection that I never read because I have no time. Somehow I ended up with 3 podcasts. I don't know how. It just kind of happened. And I'm even looking at possibly doing a 4th. And I don't know how it happened. I suddenly looked up and I'm like, I have 3 podcasts. Holy crap.
I've missed the 3rd one then. See, I have 2 myself, so I understand. And I've thought of a 3rd one. So yes, I fully understand the obsession there. So I know of 2, so I need to hear all 3 podcasts.
Well, all 3 podcasts. The first one I started with back in 2011. We have a movie podcast called the Deucecast Movie Show, and we just basically talk movies. It's we've been doing it. We just celebrated our 400th episode last month.
Shut up.
Yeah,
okay, that's the one I'm missing. Yeah, that's the one I'm missing.
Every Wednesday it drops. We just talk. We have random guests on. We've had some quasi celebrities on here and there, including Paige Davis from TLC's Trading Spaces, which I'm very proud of.
Fun.
Twice, by the way. And we just talk movies, and it's a clean show, so families can listen to it. And we do a show about, we call it Reflections, basically all reviews of all the movies we've seen over the last month. We do top 5 lists. We have various topics and such. The other podcast I have, of course, is the Magic on a Dollar podcast. It's my Disney podcast, and it's all things Disney. It's similar to yours in terms of, it's not just park stuff. It's movies and it's pop culture. And it's anything Disney I think about, I'm like, let's talk about this. And my 3rd podcast is one called My Kid's Got the Autism. And I have an 8-year-old. He just turned 8 years old. He's on the spectrum. And it's kind of the travails and adventures from a dad who has no idea what he's doing, because I truly have no idea what I'm doing. We have 15 episodes down. That was kind of what I consider season 1. Season 2 will start back in January. And it's just a lot of fun just talking about, hey, this is what we go through. This is what's happening. And I put a lighthearted spin on it as much as I can. The most popular episode that we had was episode 9. And that was what I call the poop episode, which is, every parent has poop stories. And, as a father of an autistic child, I definitely have poop stories. And, so those are my 3 podcasts that I do on a quasi-regular basis.
Awesome. Yeah, I knew about the 2. Obviously, I knew about your Disney one because duh. And I found the one about your son, which I love, and I think that's I think your 3 podcasts kind of encapsulate what I love about podcasting in general. Is that there's something for everyone. There's a little niche. There's some, if we want to talk about anything with people that want to talk to us to make a podcast, right?
Right.
And so I love it. I love it that you've kind of like niched it down like that too. What's your possible fourth? What are you thinking of doing?
Well, what I'm looking at doing with the Magic on a Dollar podcast, and I may morph that into this, or I may come up with a new podcast, is I want to kind of do a Disney movie podcast where I take each episode and centralize one Disney film. I have guests on and talk about that film, break it down. There are other podcasts out there that do similar things with other movies, but I actually have a guy coming on, a good friend of mine, and we're gonna break down the Santa Claus next week, and we're gonna release it. Just spend 45 minutes talking about the Santa Claus and what we love about it. Make fun of it a little bit here and there, and maybe doing future episodes. I actually have a list of people that I want. And so I have an episode coming up about a Goofy movie, and one about The Emperor's New Groove, and one about the Black Hole from 1979. And I was going to contact you and say, Patty, which movie do you really want to talk about? Whatever one you said. Well, and just have some fun with it, and just talk about, because I love movies and I love Disney and I love Disney movies, but I don't want to just talk about Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast. And
there's so much out there.
I'm like, what if we did an episode on Bolt? Or what if we actually broke down Home on the Range? Is that movie really as bad as we think it is? Let's talk about it. I mean, let's have some fun with it. We'll see.
Yeah, well, no, that's a great idea. And with Disney Plus right now, it's a perfect segue to put it together, is that people are looking at all these old things going, I totally forgot about the Black Cauldron. I totally forgot, and starting to watch them all again. So yeah, I think that's brilliant. And yes, I will gift you a list of movies that I can talk for hours on. All right. And David is Magic on a Dollar is also your travel agency, right?
Well, it's my travel agency branding. I work for a bigger agency called Upon a Star Travel, and but I kind of brand. I travel as Magic on a Dollar, and I do travel planning. Been doing it 6 years now, and I know you're a travel agent as well. And we all love Disney, and we all love helping out with Disney and other destinations as well. So yeah, I love it. That's my full time career, and I left my full time job in 2015 to do it from home, and it's not easy, and sometimes people don't make it as easy as it could be, but it's so much fun you get a report or get pictures from a client, from guests who, say, hey, thank you so much for helping us out. And they sent a picture of, I got one that was sent to me yesterday from somebody who went over Thanksgiving, and their daughter holding hands with Cinderella. And I'm like, I helped create that. I helped make that happen, because I don't know that it would have gone without the help. And so I love those kind of things. That's the reason I do it. And, it's fun.
It is. And I was laughing when you said that sometimes people don't make it as easy as it should be. And let's be clear, we're talking about Disney half the time, aren't we, David?
Most of the time. Yes.
They drive us nuts as travel agents at times. We love you. However, sometimes
one of my favorite things. And I saw this on Twitter, and I actually made a tweet I tweeted about this last night. But one of my favorite things that happens is, and I say favorite as in, oh my gosh, I'll get clients who will message me or instant message me or email me pictures of their credit card. And I'm like, don't do that. And they do that. And they're like, here's my card, charge, blah, blah, blah. And I take it and delete the picture or whatever. So you could tell they're very cavalier about that information. But then we say, well, if you want us to help you with your fast passes or your dining, you don't have to do this, but we need access to your My Disney experience. If you want us to help you, we need your login. And they'll send me a password like 74 characters long, full of characters and ampersands and percentage signs. And I'm like, you'll send me your credit card, but you give me a nuclear code for your My Disney Experience account. Seriously? Come on. Let's priorities here. Come on.
I know people are a little crazy, but we love them. We love them.
We love people. Those are just fun complaints. I have no problem. I mean, I love my people, and I love talking Disney, and and it's fun. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it, because it doesn't put millions in the bank. Let me tell you.
Well, right. I was actually talking to one of my clients the other day, and I was like, I just have a really fun job. She was like, how you have not fired me up to this point, I don't understand, because I've had you change everything. I'm like, it's fine. Like, that's what I'm here for. And it makes me so happy when I do happen to pull the pixie dust out and we get what they want. Right. And it's a fun job, regardless of all the headaches
Absolutely.
and the hair pulling that we go through, but it's all good. But what we also like to talk about when we're not talking about our Disney trips is, of course, movies. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Is we wanted to talk a little bit about Phase 4 Marvel, because we just got our first real solid peek at the first movie that's coming out for kicking off Phase 4, which is Black Widow.
I'm excited about Black Widow. I've always liked the character, and I've always wondered how her character would fit in. And I mean, if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame by now, I feel like you're either not going to see it or you don't care if I spoil it. We know that she doesn't make it out of the end of Endgame. Mm-hmm. And so this is going to be set between Civil War and Endgame. So this is kind of a prequel. I've heard, and maybe you can verify this, but I've heard that Robert Downey Jr. will be making an appearance, obviously as a prequel. So I've heard that he will be coming in as Iron Man. I don't know that for sure. How much of a character, how big of a role he has, I have no idea. But this is Natasha Romanoff's story. And I think we saw a glimpse of it in Age of Ultron. If you remember, Ultron using Scarlet Witch kind of kind of put those little images in everybody's heads as he kind of brainwashed them. And, she went back to Russia. And she went back to when she was a little girl training and being pulled out of the orphanage or whatever and put into these camps where she learned how to become an assassin. So I'm looking forward to it. I really am looking forward to what happens with this.
Yeah, the trailer just came out. It's got some amazing moments, some very fun sounding quotes. I wrote all this up. I'll link in show notes for anybody that wants to check it out. So if you haven't seen the trailer yet, you probably have, because I think everybody has. But if you haven't, I've got you. And I want you to go check this out because it's so much fun. I absolutely love this character too. And I think it's about time that we got her own standalone movie. And so I'm digging it. I think it's going to be great. Before we jump to Phase 4 though, David, how did you become a Marvel fanboy? Like, where did all this start for you? What's your origin story?
My origin story. Well, I was bitten by a spider that was exposed to when I was a kid, and I had these adamantium claws. No, I guess I was thinking about it this morning, and really my first brush with Marvel, I can pinpoint back to 1987, I believe. And that is when I was at the local supermarket and I was looking at comic books, and I wasn't a huge comic book fan. And I saw a series called X-Men versus the Avengers. It was a limited series, issues 1 through 4. And I picked up the first one and I bought it and went home and I read it and I was like, this is incredible. And basically the whole premise, without getting too deep in it, is that Magneto, the Avengers want to put Magneto on trial for his crimes. The Avengers or the X-Men are trying to protect him because they know that if he goes on trial, then they're all susceptible to trial. So they're trying to protect themselves, and they have a clash. And issue 3, there's this big battle between the X-Men and the Avengers. And I've got those 4 issues. They're in plastic cases. I love it. I love how incredible the whole series was. And from then on, I kind of was a Marvel fan. I was an X-Men fan, Fantastic Four fan. I love the Fantastic Four, probably my favorite team up or my favorite team. I've liked Marvel over DC mostly because I like how Marvel is very grounded in earthly things, whereas DC, most of the characters get their powers from, Superman is from Krypton, and you've got Wonder Woman off in the Amazonian island, and you've got other characters getting their powers from supernatural sources. Marvel is really like, I was bitten by a spider. I was exposed to gamma rays. I built this technology to save the world. It's all ingrained in just normal people, basically. And from then on out, I've been a fan. I've watched a lot of the movies growing up, and I saw the Fantastic Four with Jessica Alba. Oh, geez. We can talk about that for an hour. Which is actually not a bad movie. It's just she's so terribly miscast. It just ruins everything. Chris Evans, by the way, in that movie. And so I know you're a big Chris Evans fan. And, so when Iron Man came out, and when I saw the Hulk, I saw the first one, the Hulk, and then the Incredible Hulk, or whichever one came first and second. I saw those, and they were okay. And then Iron Man Force came out, and I was a big fan of Iron Man. As the movie came out, and as the movie started to develop, I'm a big fan of storytelling. No matter how terrible the movie might be, if you can tell me a good story, I can still be entertained, at least somewhat, even with a bad movie.
Yes, David. Yes, that's exactly me. That's how I watch these movies too. It doesn't have to be the best or the whatever movie, but if there's a story, I think that's our Disneyness. But if there's a story at the heart of it, we are all about it. Yeah, I'm the exact same way. Yep.
Well, I mean, I can watch Kevin James's Zookeeper 1,000 times and be entertained because the story is fun. It's a stupid movie. I'm a big Kevin James fan, and the story is fun though. Whereas you take something like The English Patient, which is 3 hours long. And it's this heralded, amazing film and an Oscar winner. And I watch it and I'm asleep within 30 minutes because the story just is like, So watching these Marvel movies unfold one by one and watching the stories develop. And, my thought is that the first 1 or 2, they didn't really have a long-term plan because who knows how this is going to go. They may release the first couple and then they kind of fall off the map. But as the movies progressed and they got more popular, I know that they just sat down and said, okay, how do we want to map this out? And having having this 10-year run of 22, 23 movies that all intertwine together with callbacks to movies that you would think that had nothing to do with each other. All of a sudden, they're connected by certain things, by the Tesseract or by Loki or by Thanos or whatever. This is something that we've never seen before, and I don't know that we'll see again, because it is an incredible plan. And I don't know that people really fully appreciate the Marvel Universe in phase 1 through 3, how those movies unfolded. I don't know that people really fully appreciate how it took or what it took to put that together, because that is an amazing cinematic accomplishment. I mean, aside from the fact they're great movies, some better than others, some I'll watch 1,000 times, others I'm like, okay. But just every integral piece of that is just, it's amazing. It is an amazing.
They definitely thought this out well in advance, plotted it out, hid all these little hidden Easter eggs from the very beginning that you would have callbacks to towards the end. Yeah, it's amazing. And that's the storytelling of Marvel. That's why we love it so much. Now, what do you have, as you've alluded to, my favorite character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is Chris Evans. I mean, I'm just kidding. I know it's Captain America,
Yes.
but it is Captain America for a lot of reasons. I also am with the side of Thor. Thor is a quick runner up to in my favorites. Who's your guy? Who do you like?
Hawkeye. I'm a big Hawkeye fan. I like Jeremy Renner. I know that he's got some personal issues that have come up recently, and I don't know much about that. So I will just say the Avengers, Jeremy Renner, I love.
Yeah.
And with a few movies he's been into, I've really, really enjoyed him. But I love Hawkeye. I love how, and they refer to this in the Age of Ultron, how he's kind of the heart of the Avengers. He's not the one with the technology. He's not the one with, he wasn't bitten by a spider or exposed to whatever. Like, he's just a guy who's very good at what he does, a master assassin, kind of like Black Widow. It always makes me think how much taxpayer dollars are spent on each one of those arrows. That always bothers me. Like, every arrow he shoots, I'm like, that's probably $750,000 in that one arrow. And it's like Legolas. They never run out. It's amazing.
They never do, right?
I've always been a big Hawkeye fan. And of course, I love Scarlet Witch. I love Wanda because I'm a huge Liz Olsen fan. Liz Olsen to me is kind of like Chris Evans is to, well, let me take that back. Amy Adams is to me as Chris Evans. And it always disappointed me that she got sucked into the DC universe instead of Marvel. I'm like, I will give you Evangeline Lilly. Give me Amy Adams. Let's make a square trade, 1-for-1. Come on. But I'm a big Wanda fan as well. I love her character arc. I don't know that she'll get, I know she probably won't get her own movie. I know that she's got a series coming up called WandaVision, which should be interesting. The premise behind it is really random and interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I would say Hawkeye is my favorite guy. I love Hawkeye. I love just enjoy him. As far as the movies go, in the comics, I mean, I have various different characters, like I mentioned, Fantastic Four, but for the Avengers films, yeah, Hawkeye is my guy.
Hawkeye. Yeah. I like him a lot for a lot of the same reasons too. Like you said, he's more like the regular dude. And then when they introduced him, we got to see that he has a family. And then of course, they're at Endgame with that whole
opening.
Kills me every time. But yeah, I definitely was thrilled that we got a little bit more insight into what was going on with the character of Hawkeye, because I am not a comic book reader. And so I don't have that background and that history to pull from and to know about. And so I always liked Hawkeye. Like, I had no negative to him. In fact, the first time I think we meet him in the MCU is in Thor, where he's with Coulson, which he's also my bae. I love me some Agent Coulson. But and we meet Hawkeye there, and I'm like, this dude, what's the deal with this dude? Like, I want to know more. And then thankfully we got a lot more of Hawkeye as the years went on, which is great. Now, you mentioned Jeremy Renner. A quick side note. Have you seen the movie Tag?
I love Tag.
Tag is one of those.
It is surprisingly good. Like, you go into
right?
that, and it's really funny. It's
hilarious. It is hilarious. It is the movie that if it's on, I'm going to watch it. I don't care if it's 2 a.m. in the morning. I am going to sit and watch the rest of Tag because I love it so much. I think that's because I wasn't expecting to, right? And a big key, they're all great in the movie, but Jeremy Renner is fantastic in this movie.
Well, and if I can throw up on the side as well, if you've never seen Wind River, came out in 2017. It is my favorite movie of 2017. It's he and Elizabeth Olsen both are in this film. It is amazing. It is amazing. It's a drama based in I think the mountains of Wyoming. It's kind of a like a crime drama kind of thing. There's somebody who ends up deceased, and they've got to kind of figure out. He's a park ranger, so he teams up with an FBI detective. But surprisingly done well by Liz Olsen, and it's really good. I believe it's on Netflix. And I'm a list guy. Like, I have top fives of everything, and I've always wanted to go on Facebook and say, "Hey, ask me anything for my top five, and I'll give you a list," because I really could do it. And I have a list. Well, I have a list of my 500 favorite films of all time, but I always center on my 100. And Wind River is like my 73rd favorite film of all time, and it's only a 2-year-old movie. I love that movie. He's so good in that movie. So that, and back to the Chris Evans, just real quick. If you've never seen it, you should watch The Losers. Losers is fantastic. It's based on a DC comic. Jeffrey Dean Morgan from Walking Dead, Zoe Saldana from who's Gamora, and I forget who the other guy is. Idris Elba's in this as well. It's just a lot of fun. It's a fun, silly, kind of action comic book movie. So The Losers is great. Chris Evans is great in this film.
Well, I think he's great in everything, but that's just
of course you do.
That's just me speaking. Yeah. Which we can keep going on tangents, but I'm going to say that because, guys, if you want to hear more of the Patty and David show, we are actually going to record a podcast together on David's podcast over on Magic on a Dollar. Are we doing Magic on a Dollar?
Magic on a Dollar. Yeah. We'll do that. We're going to talk about Disney Plus because I want to kind of dive into 3 weeks later. We're going to talk about, and we haven't talked about this yet. So everything you'll say will be a surprise about what is, how we like it, what's going on, the good, the bad, that kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to have a whole deep dive on Disney Plus, and I think you also said you wanted to talk about like what our favorite movies of the year are. So
yes, definitely that too.
Yeah, we're gonna cover those. We're gonna cover a list, and so you guys are gonna want to take a listen to that too. I will make sure to link in show notes again David's podcast, so it's easy for you to find. But that's Magic on a Dollar. But back to Marvel. Now, we've got Phase 4 coming, and the first one that we know about, they've pretty much, I guess, given us everything at this point, but we have Black Widow that's coming up May 1st, I want to say.
I think so. I think
opening day? Yeah. May 1st. Yep. And then the Eternals on November 6th, and then after the Eternals, we're going to get Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus. Now, those 3 shows. Here's my thing. I know Black Widow. I know Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I know nothing about the Eternals except for who's in it.
The premise behind the Eternals, and this is really as much as I know, is they are an immortal alien race created by the Celestials, and they're sent to Earth to protect humanity from their evil counterparts called the Deviants. That's about as much as I know about the movie. I believe the Eternals were referenced in Captain Marvel. I need to go back and watch Captain Marvel again. But that's a movie really that not a lot of people know about. They haven't really done a whole lot with it. And I think the Eternals might be a property they probably wanted to do something with before and just couldn't get it right. And I could be wrong about this, so don't at me if I am, people. I believe the Eternals was supposed to come out already and has been pushed back a couple of times. And
I think you are right on that. Or there was, I can't remember if the discussion was that this was going to be a show versus a movie, right, or what exactly the situation was. But that was a big Comic-Con announcement this summer, was that the Eternals was happening, solid cast. Here's the cast, and they brought them all out on stage, and the cast is phenomenal. So it's not that I'm not interested in it; it's that I just don't know what it is quite yet, and I feel like I'm very similar to a lot of Marvel fans that are MCU fans versus overarching everything Marvel, everything Marvel
right,
comic, whatever fans. And so this was actually my concern with the wrapping up of Endgame was, I didn't want Captain America to die. That was concern number 1. Concern number 2 was that they promised that they were going to wrap up this, this group, and that we would be moving on to all new characters. And I'm enough of a Marvel person to understand and to know that there is a ton. I mean, the possibilities are endless as far as the stories that they could put in the MCU, and that they could create these movies and these shows for us. So I know that that's out there. But my concern was that I wouldn't be able to connect to them, because it's going to be pretty much all new peeps, for people like me. We're going to be really delving into new people. So The Eternals is in November, and then we have Falcon and the Winter Soldier that's going to be on Disney Plus, which I cannot wait. And then we go to Shang-Chi, which is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. That's going to come out in February. Again, a character that I know very little about, but I will tell you what, I absolutely love Simu Liu. He got my attention real quick when he came out on stage, and then I followed him on Twitter. Because it turns out that, guys, you got to call your shot in life. And he did. He'd been tweeting Marvel for like 2 years saying, hey, I want to be your first Asian superhero. Hey, when are we going to talk about Shang-Chi? And then all of a sudden he's like on stage at Comic-Con and said that he had signed like the day before the contract to be Shang-Chi. And I was just like, all right, guy, you got me. I'm into this. I'm paying attention to you now. And then if you guys want to know a little bit more about this actor, follow him on Twitter because he's very active and he's a lot of fun. But B, you can watch Kim's Convenience. That is a show. It's a Canadian show, kind of like a Schitt's Creek thought process. If you're into Schitt's Creek, not exactly similar, but it's still a lot of fun. And he's basically one of the main characters on that show. And it's sweet. It's a sweet show. Very family friendly, easy, 20-minute, 22-minute episodes, to watch if you want to get to know Simu Liu just a little bit more before he comes out as Shang-Chi in February. Do you know anything about Shang-Chi?
I really don't. And this is one of those, this is kind of, it goes into this area that I don't want to say it worries me about Marvel, but I do agree with the whole disconnection thing because now we're going into the celestial beings of the universe kind of thing. And this is now we're going to the supernatural, spacey kind of, whereas Marvel has been very grounded. You got Iron Man, you got Peter Parker, you've got, whatever, you got Black Widow, Hawkeye, they're all here. And now, of course, we've got Captain Marvel coming from another planet, who's now a main character. We have the Eternals that are coming. Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. Ten Rings is, I think it's a terrorist organization, maybe not. I do know that the organization has been referenced in Iron Man. They talked about it in I believe, in Ant-Man. And Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin in Iron Man 3 was supposed to be a member of the Ten Rings. So that kind of sets it up to what he is or what that is. But I don't know a lot about this, and so that kind of worries me a little bit in terms of I want to be able to connect to these characters, but what I love about Marvel, we're now phasing out and we're phasing into this whole like spatial, like mystic kind of thing that I don't know that I can get as excited about. But with Ant-Man, that's the one that proved to me that Marvel can do no wrong. Marvel has credibility with me. Even if they stumble on a film, I'm still going to be just as excited about it because they took Ant-Man and made an incredibly great movie and make 2 movies that are awesome. And out of a property that I'm like, I don't know what they can do with this. And so now I'm like, well, Marvel can do whatever they can. I trust Marvel when they say we're going to do Tupperware Jim and the writing calliope of San Francisco. I'm gonna be like, I'm in. Let's do it. Whatever you want to do, I'll do it. I'm supporting it. So I will see these movies with full hope that they're going to be great. And if one of them fails, I'll still be okay.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, hey, just in the matter of odds, at some point there might be a stumble out there. I hope it doesn't happen. But I also, I really do have a lot of faith in Kevin Feige and think that, again, he's plotted and he's planned all of this out well in advance. He knows more about this than we could ever dream or guess to know how these things are going to connect and interconnect. Right. So I'm going to have faith, but I will just admit up front that was my initial concern. But I love how, see, Marvel's smart. They probably knew that about Patty. And so they're giving us these things like The Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision and Loki all on Disney Plus, these little snippets. And I'll tell you what, David, if those Marvel programs are anywhere near as well made, as highly entertaining as The Mandalorian has turned out, then yes, we're in for a heck of a treat and a heck of a ride coming from Disney Plus. And so everybody that locked in those 3-year subscriptions, holla, we're going to be super thankful because Loki doesn't come out until spring of 2021. So we have some time before we get to see him. And then after after Loki, we get Doctor Strange, the second Doctor Strange movie, the Multiverse of Madness. And like you said, a little bit of that weirdness and celestial stuff is going to be happening. And then back to Disney Plus again, we're going to get the What If series from Marvel, which has a really cool premise that I'm digging. And then we also get your Hawkeye show in fall of 2021. And then they're wrapping up the fourth phase at this time. At least this is what we know of what's coming in phase 4 with Thor, Love and Thunder. And that makes me really happy because I was hoping we would get a fourth Thor movie because he's kind of my guy. Don't tell Cap, but he was my first. He was my gateway drug to the Marvel universe, Chris Evans, and so I've always just had this real big soft spot for the Thor storylines, and this is one of those things where it kind of crosses both of the boundaries. We got a lot of Earth action from Thor, but we also got a lot of weirdness up in space and other, things going on. So who knows? I kind of looking at all these shows and these movies, they're probably all going to tie back together like they always do. And maybe there's still something out there that hasn't been announced. They did announce at Comic-Con, but they didn't really say when it's coming or what the answer is to it. But we are also getting Blade is coming. And that was a huge, drop that they threw in, surprise drop that they threw in there. But I don't think they've given any other information other than it's happening. So we're still waiting to see there. Out of all of the shows, Disney Plus and the movies that are coming in phase 4, do you have one that you are most excited about besides Hawkeye? Because I'm sure that's an easy one for you to say, Hawkeye. But is there anybody else that you're looking forward to?
Well, you also have to throw in too the third Spider-Man film, Spider-Man Far From Home sequel or whatever they call it.
Yes,
that's going to be in there as well. And if you, I think Tom Holland was on. Aside here, Tom Holland was on Jimmy Kimmel this week, and I actually have a clip of it on my recent Magic on a Dollar podcast where he talks about how he got a phone call from Bob Iger when Tom Holland had been drinking, and Tom Holland was like trying to explain to Bob Iger, keep Spider-Man in Marvel Universe, don't let it go or whatever. So he was a part of this whole phone call conversation after having a couple of pints in a pub. A great story, but basically Tom Holland's like, yes, I saved Spider-Man. And so
I had heard that I heard about the phone call. I heard that he actually had a conversation with Iger and that he was the one that was pushing for that conversation, that he reached out and said, look, we need to talk. I did not hear though that that cute little Tommy was drunk. That's hilarious.
It's really funny because he's just, by the way, Tom Holland is in everything right now. I don't know if you knew this or not, but he is in everything.
No, he really is. I noted that the other day. I was like, holy cow, this is the year of Tom Holland. Right. And look at you, kid. Do it.
Bang, bang.
Yeah.
Probably, I would say out of all of those, I think I'm most excited about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Not only because Wanda, Elizabeth Olsen, is going to be in it. It's also it's going to tie to WandaVision. It's going to tie to Loki. So they're all going to kind of tie in together. But I think that's going to be, Doctor Strange is kind of the linchpin to the whole, like, what connects the Avengers that we know and love to the whole what is coming in terms of the outer space mysticism and everything. I think he's the kind of the go-between. So I think we love Doctor Strange, and if we can accept and really enjoy Doctor Strange, we'll kind of be more open to everything that's coming. And Cumberbatch is perfect as Doctor Strange. He's
gosh,
opinion, and Chris Evans aside, the perfect casting in the Avengers is Nick Fury with Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, heck yeah.
Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., and Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. I don't know that you can get any more perfect casting than those three. And just, I am really looking forward to Doctor Strange. I love the first one. And of course, all of them, really. I mean, I want to see what they do with the Eternals. The Spider-Man film will be great, I'm sure. Love and Thunder with Thor. The first two Thors are probably my two least favorite Marvel films, but Ragnarok is so flippin' good that it covers any sins that I might have thought Thor 1 and 2 committed. I love Ragnarok. And Taika Waititi is coming back to direct the new Thor. And so I'm really excited about that because he's the one that did Ragnarok. And he is such a good director. He's so quirky and fun. And I'm glad that Natalie Portman is coming back because I kind of felt like she had this sense of, well, I was in Thor 1 and 2. I'm kind of too good for this. I'm now an Oscar-winning actress. I don't want to go back to that. And I think she realized, oh, okay, these movies are huge, maybe I should be okay with going back to this. And I could be wrong, but I don't know, totally could have, totally
so
not.
Here's my hot take about Natalie. When I first saw her come out on stage and everybody was like flipping out that she's holding the hammer, I was hot. I was annoyed. I was not happy with this. Okay. I was really, because yes, that was kind of my impression too, is that she turned her back, and she in Thor 2 was like, basically, I don't want to have anything to do. This sucks. I don't want to be part of this anymore. Now, that being said, I did a little internet sleuthing, researching and whatnotting. So again, it's all on the internet. It has to be true, right, David?
Of course.
I don't know how true this is or not, but I rewatched those movies recently, and I kind of, if the news reports, what they were reporting and what I was seeing on screen, I could kind of see it. Basically, it wasn't so much that she doesn't like Marvel Universe, or that she thought that she was better than. It was that her character is written for crap. She doesn't have a good character. They didn't develop her well. She's got crappy lines. It's not good. And Natalie Portman is an excellent actress. So I will give her that. So I've kind of come around the corner a little bit to give her a little grace, and to think that maybe it wasn't so much that she was better than Marvel. It was that Marvel didn't realize, like they were just wasting her. Like they didn't use her. And so my understanding is that basically Taika was the one that saw her, talked to her, and talked her into coming back. And she was like, if I put myself in Taika's hands, it'll be fine. Like my character. Yeah. So that's my understanding. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
if you saw it on the internet, it must be true. And if you've seen it on Facebook, then it's confirmed as true. So we know this.
Absolutely.
And you're right. Non-Star Wars Natalie Portman is an excellent actress. So who knows?
Agreed. I don't like her in Star Wars either.
I'm very willing to admit that I could be wrong about her whole attitude towards it. It may be just fine. I don't know. That's just kind of how I took it. And you mentioned the Hawkeye thing. The one thing that concerns me about Hawkeye is, of course, we mentioned previously that Jeremy Renner's had some outside troubles, and I don't want to get into all that, but there's been some things that maybe he has done that have caused some problems. Kate Bishop, and she becomes Hawkeye in the comics. And he calls her Hawkeye, like actually in the opening of Avengers Endgame, kind of a playful nickname. Yeah, good job there, Hawkeye. So I'm thinking, for Disney's purposes, I'm hoping that he does come back, but I think there's a chance that he may not, and they may go directly to her being Hawkeye, which I'm fine with. I love Jeremy Renner, but again, I'm fine with whatever they do with the character. But just know that Kate Bishop is going to play a big part of this character, this series, and there's a chance that she may take over as the title role, and Hawkeye might be her and not him. We don't know, because I don't know how many. And I have to think back on this, but do they ever actually call him Hawkeye in the movies? I know it's Barton and Clint and things like that, but do they ever actually call him Hawkeye?
The only time that I can come up with it offhand is in Thor 1, is when they ask Coulson is asking somebody, or some, I think is he asking Eric Solvig. Anyway, he's asking somebody. He said, where's our guy, or where is he? And he says, oh, the hawk, he's up in his nest where he can see everything, or something like that. And that's the only one that comes to mind, but you might be right. We'll have to see. That's an interesting, I assumed, yes, that it was going to be Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, but you are correct in that I know, in the comics, because I've done a little research on who some of these people are, that Kate Bishop is also called Hawkeye, and so that the show could actually be that she's Hawkeye and he's also in it.
True, very true.
So we'll see. All right. Well, I think we have so much good stuff coming our way from Marvel, for which I am forever thankful as a Marvel fangirl. Marvel is probably my number one fandom at this point. Followed closely by Star Wars and Harry Potter. Those are my big three, and I know they're like everybody's big three, but I love Potter. So this has me very excited for the next couple of years, and I can't wait for some of this stuff to come out. And I'll have to have you back on, like when Black Widow comes out, and we can talk about the movie and see what we thought about it when it all comes around. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us on the No Guilt Fangirls podcast. Now, an episode like this comes out every Thursday, and then every Monday, I usually do Monday movie reviews. I might be changing that up in the new year. I don't know. I've just kind of had in my head that we have a lot of movies happening right now because it's, the holiday season. A lot of good movies come out. And then there's kind of like a dry spell of movies. So maybe it's time to switch to some TV. So maybe TV Tuesday or something like that instead of Monday movie. I don't know. We'll see. I got to think this through. But that's Mondays and Tuesdays. Usually I try to do 2 shows a week. And every now and then there's a daily-ish that I throw out when it's just there's something I need to talk about. And so I'm going to hop on the mic and spew my excitement over whatever that might be. But if you like what you've heard today, if you can leave us 5 stars or leave a review or hit me up on social media at No Guilt Life and let me know what you want to hear in the future, I would love that, guys. It helps other fangirls find the show when you take that 2 seconds to give those reviews. So I do appreciate it. And you can always follow along the fandoms at noguiltfangirl.com. Thanks for fangirling with us and hope to see you again real soon. Thanks, David.
Thanks, Patty. This has been awesome.